Salutations. Hello, hi, everybody. Welcome to the Roundtable podcast. Roundtable Live for January 26, 2018. I'm BaerTaffy, joined by Rock Lee Smile, Mathis Games, and Lions up there as well. Good to have you guys back. Thanks for joining me again.
It's good to be back. Been a little bit of a break for me.
A little bit of a break.
I have to blame Ryan that now, ever since he pointed out that the intro opens with a fart noise, that's all I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like, all right.
That's the kind of stuff that I would love to hear when I'm asking you guys for feedback when I have a new song.
Yeah, I didn't notice it.
Yeah, I didn't notice it either.
What kind of things would you like to change? But no, all right, that's fine. Mathis, you're back from PAX South. Yeah, how was that?
Great. There's nothing to talk about at PAX South.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's fine.
PAX South is like, the holidays are over. We're not showing any new games. Would you like to look at the Resident Evil 7 DLC that came out 4 months ago?
No, it's bad. Don't look at that.
Sure, why not? Why not? We actually had a long conversation about that DLC, the one where you punch things. And
Who is we?
Me, Jesse, Alex, and like all the people who played in the Scary Game Squad. And
I'm Mathis. I go hang out with cool YouTubers. I'm so famous.
Let's just get TB on instead of Mathis.
Yeah, well, you might as well. No, Jesse said he felt the same way as you. Like, he said it ruined a lot of what Resident Evil 7 did, and like kind of turned it into what they were trying to get away from.
Yeah,
and that's unfortunate.
I was experiencing vicarious disappointment of watching Nick play it. Like, it was not an enjoyable experience that way either.
I was watching Tenchi play one of them last night, and he was kind of down about it too. So I think everybody that's played it has been like, "This isn't very fun."
Well,
stop making it an action game, God damn it! We got away from that.
Let's maybe talk about some good stuff that's happened in the past couple of weeks. We got some good stuff, some not so great stuff, but we do have some good stuff to talk about for sure. PAX South did happen. I had it on the docket, but apparently it's meaningless. So we'll just acknowledge its existence and move on from that. Nintendo Labo was announced, something that just came straight out of left field that I don't think anybody predicted, but we are gonna damn well talk about it. Twitch has announced their new video producer and premiere tools, which are basically direct competition to YouTube, so we'll discuss the implications of that as well. Xbox Game Pass made a big announcement this week. Microsoft is now going to be including their Microsoft exclusive titles with Xbox Game Pass on launch day. So that's a pretty big move from the Microsoft side of things that might actually be able to get them back in the swing of things. We'll talk about that as well. Ubisoft has just made mistakes, and we'll discuss those as we proceed here.
It's the proper opening.
A couple of interesting choices here. And speaking of mistakes, ESL certainly not foreign to those either. They've got another one that we'll talk about. And then we got some games to discuss. Medieval Engineers is going to be the first among those, along with Full Metal Furies. We'll talk about Iconoclasts, which just came out this week, along with Subnautica, which just came out this week as well. Just came out early access this week, of course, has been out in early access for quite some time. That's been since, what, like 2015, maybe even 2014?
It's been 3 years in early access.
Long time. Then real quick after, or not real quick after that, probably a lengthy discussion about Monster Hunter World. Also just released today, I believe, in fact. And then also released today, Dragon Ball FighterZ, or Dragon Ball FighterZ, if you want to be pedantic and annoy Namco Bandai.
Apparently, it's FighterZ.
It's FighterZ, yeah. No, they said as much themselves.
No, I'm going to say Dragon Ball FighterZ.
It's actually, it's idiotic. I love the tweet that's like, hey, just so you know, in-house we pronounce it fighters. Well, why'd you put a Z on the end of it?
We don't call it Dragon Balls.
I was just going to say, it's not called Dragon Balls.
Yeah.
It's called Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
The best part of that is there's a follow-up tweet from someone asking for clarification, and they ask why they put a Z at the end of it then. And from the official Namco Bandai account, it says, because adding a Z makes it look cooler. And I was like, you know what? Kudos to you guys. I appreciate that level of transparency.
That's about the logic they used about halfway through the Cell Saga and Dragon Ball. They're like, you know what? Fuck it, it looks cool. Just let it happen.
The team saving Earth are the Z Fighters. Come on. Get out of here.
Oh, you mean the Spiders?
Yeah, the Spiders.
Spiders. Welcome to the Swarm, Nick. Yeah, we'll talk about Dragon Ball FighterZ at the end of the show today, too. And also... Oh, wait, no, I got it on. No, yeah, Subnautica. Okay, yeah, we're good. Cool. Well, PAX South happened. All right. Next.
Done. It happened. I'm trying to think if there's anything like.
If you got anything at all, yeah, feel free.
PAX. And I don't think there was.
Man.
It's getting bigger every year. It's coming closer and closer to other PAXs, which is nice. But they'll never be 4-day PAX. I hope PAX South is never 4 days. The fact that PAX East this year is 4 days makes me want to put a bullet in my head. But we'll see.
You could just not.
You don't have to go. Yeah, that's the thing.
10 minutes down the road. Like, it's so hard for me to just skip it all together when a bunch of my friends are going to be there as well.
You could go for 3 days.
Yeah.
I think I might skip Thursday. I think because PAX West goes to Monday, right?
Yeah.
Usually, this one is a Thursday to Sunday, so I might just skip Thursday altogether. Just be like, it's really no point.
It's. I mean, I'm not really big on conventions. Everyone knows that, I think, at this point. But just 2 days usually is plenty, I feel. Like, I get the majority of stuff done in that time.
Yeah, during BlizzCon was only 2 days, and it was weird. It felt really short, and at the same time, it felt like a good time. I think 3 days is probably the sweet spot, especially if you're going to travel. If you're not going to travel, 2 days is kind of a short, especially if you're traveling across the country. But 4 days is just too much.
Yeah. Anyway, though, so nothing really that exciting, that big that you saw on the show floor or anything you want to really...
I saw the Patrick Rothfuss panel, if you guys read his books. Good panel.
Okay.
That's it.
Did you play the Saw DLC for Dead by Daylight?
I did not. I know. That was the main attraction. No, there was a game there. There was actually a game there, and I don't remember the name of it. That's how important it was. But it looked like a spy, noir XCOM. And it had a big old booth, and it looked really cool. But there was a big line for it the whole time because that was, the most attractive booth at the entire convention.
Yeah.
Looked neat, but I have no idea. From what I was watching on the screens, it looked like it took some of the, what do you call it, stealth mechanics of XCOM 2, where you kind of go into a mission undercover, nobody knows you're there, and you kind of use guerrilla tactics before they notice that you're there. And that looked cool, but I don't know if I don't remember the name of it.
Guerrilla tactics. Does it have a funky mode?
This guy.
Right.
This fucking guy. Unbelievable. PAX South. Cool. All right. There we go.
Good PAX.
Nintendo Labo was just announced this past week. Again, just something that I don't think anyone could have possibly predicted. But it's a very Nintendo announcement, I suppose, when I put it that way. One of the most Nintendo things it could have possibly been. So what it is cardboard with technology inside. And I mean, well, that's kind of like what Drop Mix is too. Now that I think about it,
where is their technology?
I think there's technology, right?
You put the controller inside.
So the technology's in there, so it's just the cardboard.
It's just cardboard and sometimes rubber bands.
All right.
So with the piano. It's
detecting motion with the controller.
So there's nothing in the cardboard.
There's an infrared. No, it's a cardboard and elastic bands.
Okay, so they're selling us cardboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting cardboard, all the same. So let me try to sell it better. This is an add-on to the Nintendo Switch, very popular home console. You may have heard of it, and it will allow you to create your own accessories for the platform, whether it be, like we said, a piano, maybe like a fishing rod, or there's also one particular kit that will allow you to apparently build a backpack and robot arms that you can utilize and fight Robo Combat
Nintendo loves
style.
arms.
They do.
They're all about arms.
Literally. Yeah. So it's really interesting. This is the first impression I got watching the trailer. I thought to myself, okay, I'm not going to get it, but, that's fun, I think, for kids. I think it's fun.
My initial reaction was, this is fucking stupid.
I kind of felt like that, too.
But I'm going to cover myself in a second. I have to let my neighbor in. He doesn't have his key. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, go ahead and drop that off, and we'll go ahead and take it off.
While Mathis is gone, I'm just going to, blow what he was probably going to defend himself with out of the water, which is that, I just hate this industry. Every year, and I'm not talking about games. I'm talking about our industry. I hate it more and more as time goes on. This is a product that's made for kids is a bunch of like 30-year-old bearded dudes being like, I'm not gonna buy it. You can't trick me into buying cardboard. And like, it's for children. It's for small. It's like a Lego set or
There's
something.
There's also
like that.
a lot of those same 30-year-old bearded men saying, "I really, really want this."
And that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna say like, you have to get it or something like that. But it's not aimed at us. And whenever people are like, "Oh, what does this mean?" I'm like, it's just. It's a toy for children.
That was the attitude I had with the Switch.
Now? Yes.
No, Ryan already destroyed you.
Flaming corpse.
So the neighbor is the new habit. Like he's, I don't know, high school, never has a key, so he just knocks on my window in the middle of the night and I can't see anything.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, he's
awful.
like,
do not establish that precedent, man. You gotta fucking tell him.
The precedent is done. He even has my number. He doesn't usually just knocks on my window. Okay, so my first reaction was, this is fucking stupid. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, well, when I was like 10, I would have fucking loved this.
Yeah,
I used to build cardboard forts with my dad all the time, and him and I would like build cardboard cars and spaceships and all this stuff. And I like that. This mixing that with like video games probably would have been right up my alley. So it's definitely not for us, I don't think, but I think that there's a market for it, and I can see people really enjoying it.
Yeah. Mathis, I want to collaborate on your opinion with you.
Okay.
Is that possible? Can we do that? So my first impression was, this is actually trash. Like, they're actually sending garbage to recycle for them. Like a pizza box, essentially, that comes in the mail that you can then throw away. My second thought was, okay, wait, that's stupid. That's hyperbole. Why am I saying this? Actually, it's cool that Nintendo's encouraging children to play in three-dimensional space because they feel some sort of weird Catholic guilt about encouraging kids to sit in chairs and play video games all day.
They do. No, they
actually hate
right.
what they do.
Absolutely, you're right. They've shown a pattern of this for decades now.
Please go outside. Like, why don't you take a break?
Buy their products, which discourage you from playing with their products.
Yeah.
So this is their way of feeling a little bit better about having done that a lot. Then, step 3 was me realizing, this is going to break in like 1 second for the little kids that this is targeted for. So this is like the Wii controller steering wheel for Mario Kart, but like even more breakable.
Yeah. You got to immediately the caveat though, I think there is like, yeah, but you can fix it immediately because it's cardboard. All you have to do is go get more cardboard and then tape it together.
From my understanding as well, like, first of all, I think this is targeted at like definitely like 10 to 12-year-olds or whatever, maybe like 8 or 9, at an age where they know if you're too rough, you're going to rip it apart. Secondly, it comes with the game, so you're not just paying $70 for straight cardboard.
Yeah, that is important, right? Yeah.
And then third, they are releasing, from my understanding, the blueprints, so you can make it your own out of your own cardboard if you don't have the money to buy the cardboard itself.
Yeah.
So there's options to do it yourself, like actually make it a fun family project if that's what you want to do.
I want to clarify what I meant by break, because apparently chat does not quite understand what I mean by that. When you create this facsimile piano, you're going to be pressing on the keys of that, yeah? That's the point, because you press it and then it triggers something with a rubber band. As you do that, like maybe 20 times, you will start to mash into that key, or the back with the rubber band will start to bend at a not 90-degree angle, at which point it will render the whole thing completely useless.
I suppose we'll have to actually have hands-on experience. Well, maybe not us, but we'll have to read about how people experience it.
I also wonder if they're going to sell cardboard without the game.
I don't want to stretch it to the point of absurdity, but I don't think the point of Nintendo Labo is like you're going to build a cardboard piano that you can like install in your home and it's gonna play music forever. I think you're gonna be like, hey, it's a working piano and now I'm done with it. Like,
there's something between forever and like 2 days, right? Like somewhere in there.
Disposable and permanent. Like there's a area, there's a middle ground. Somewhere
in the middle is where I was guessing. But I also still think it's cool that they've come up with this idea. I just don't really get it for kids either.
The robot backpack thing.
I see it, honestly.
Like that, you don't want to try that?
I don't think it's going to take off. Like, I mean, that's actually like the least interesting part of it for me, is the idea you're going to like get into, because like I don't want to fight with this stuff. It is expensive cardboard, like in the end. But like I think it's going to be one of those things like the PlayStation iToy, where like we could talk about it for like an hour, and a lot of like people have tweeted about it. And, I can't believe they're selling cardboard. Like in a year, I think like 0.1% of the industry is going to care about this. But I don't necessarily think that means it's a bad idea.
It also probably isn't very expensive for them to make, so they could probably make a profit very quickly.
Well, and at the risk of like tumbling into absurdity, like sure, paying for cardboard, I guess sucks, but like if you just rationalize that, if you digitally download a game, you're paying for bits and bytes. If we're gonna distill something. Well, I need to get the actual nugget across, otherwise I sound like an idiot here. But like you're paying for ethereal data. Like you're not actually paying for the cardboard. You're paying for the experience that you get from the cardboard, which is paired with the software to create something that's emergent. Instead of like you can't. It's like magic cards. People, I'm never going to pay $5 for cardboard. You're not a commodities trader. You're not buying cardboard and then storing it and selling it at a profit later. Well,
somebody will.
Yeah, but like in the end, like you're still like, you're buying an experience in the end. So we can't distill it down to like just the commodity that you're getting, in my opinion.
I think you kind of can for this. Like, I understand the point you're making overall, and it certainly makes sense. But you are, like, you're looking at this, and you're paying $70 for what? You need to justify that purchase, right? Because that is expensive for face value, what appears to just be a cardboard add-on to the Switch.
It's a peripheral and a game.
And the game, yeah, exactly.
And the game, right, yeah. So, like, that's just really the big issue that they're going to have to get past, is parents looking at this and being like, okay, why the hell am I buying... Like, I'm holding this box that contains cardboard. Like, the box is made of cardboard. What is the logic that I'm missing here, you know? They're going to have to get past that, I think, at the point of sale. So, hopefully
but they
they'll
bought
be able
the
to
Skylanders, and that was like $100, and then they kept buying the little dragons that they put on the pedestals. So, like, this seems as plausible as Skylanders, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish they were actually, like, plastic Lego kind of blocks instead of just cardboard bits, but... I don't know, I thought there was more potential in that anyway.
I'm very curious. It does sort of seem like it's, you know, not just shitty. You know, it looks like it's quality stuff, at least for as good as cardboard can be, I suppose. I don't know if there's really even like grades of cardboard that you can talk about, but then we're really getting into weird conversation territory.
I'm pretty sure it's going to end up being like, it's going to be one of those things like We Play or something like that, where it probably by itself is not really going to be that cool. But, you know, every once in a while, Nintendo kind of throws one out there. Every once in a while, they make like a Mario Paint or a Wii Music or something like that. And, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And lately, they all become the best-selling thing for that year.
Yeah.
So that's probably what will happen with this.
If there's anything I appreciate Nintendo for, it's doing weird shit. And just trying shit out. And for whatever reason, it usually causes them to be the best-selling console of the generation or the worst-selling console of the generation. And there's just no in between for them.
Yeah.
But they're not willing to stop doing weird shit, and I can appreciate it.
I wish they were. I want to just suck all the creativity and spirit right out of them and have them just make boring games.
There you go. That's the goal, ultimately.
Yeah, really.
Oh, Wii Music. Remember guy playing a pretend trumpet up on stage?
That was horrible. That was idiotic.
That was creativity gone wrong.
He hated himself at the time he was doing that.
Yeah.
I am becoming a meme as I'm drumming.
You think it's like the whole time prepping up to that point. He's like, you know what? Yeah, this is cool. I like this. This will be a great way to demonstrate the technology. Up till the day of, he gets up on stage and realizes in front of all those people, oh my God, this is not what we should have done. Yeah, hopefully Nintendo Labo doesn't go that route. So they've got the Variety Kit for $70 and the Robot Kit for $80. Those are going to be releasing April 20th, 2018. Blaze it.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was another great thing. They're selling it on 420 for $69.
It's the same day.
They don't know what they're doing.
It's the same day that Sting and Shaggy collaboration album comes out. So like,
fuck yeah,
just
dude.
head on down to the local Best Buy and you got 2 purchases right there.
Did they even get Snoop Dogg on the PR for this thing?
I hope so. Snoop Dogg's been on a lot of PR lately, man. He's going on a tear.
He's a businessman. You got to respect him.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yes, Chad, they're actually doing that. It's great.
Yeah, it's great. Nintendo Labo coming April 20th. That's fun. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and talk Twitch premieres. Twitch announced their new video producer tools last week. In a blog post over on the website detailing their new premieres feature along with the video producer tools, more or less completely competing now with YouTube. So YouTube, a couple years ago, tried to go the YouTube gaming route and directly compete with Twitch. We've seen the results of that. Twitch is now putting the other shoe on, it would seem. Trying it out, seeing if it fits. What do y'all think of this so far? So the premieres, let me detail that a little bit. The premieres are their new feature. They want the creators to upload content. Let's just call it a video. And you put up the video, and the premiere, it has to be set at a half-hour interval. So say I make a new video, I want to put it up on Twitch. I'm going to put it up, and I'm going to upload it as a premiere at noon today. What that'll mean is I believe it sends out a notification to my followers that, hey, there's going to be a premiere of a new video on my channel, and then it just will begin at noon as scheduled, and there will be like the chat for it and everything. So just think live stream, but with a video playing, which we've done before. Like I know Nick in particular, you've done that a few times, right? Where you played videos live on your stream and just like chatted with people.
We did a full rewatch of the Pokemon Apex stream fairly recently, and that seemed to go okay. I did that in the middle of the night, and people still came, so that was nice.
So this is an official version of that, and premieres. At the moment, I'm hearing some not so terrific things about them. The UI is a little squampus at the moment, and requires you to.
Good word.
Yeah, thank you. I like it. It requires you to input information multiple times, so I'm sure they're just working out some kinks with that right now. And of course, the weird thing about forcing you to choose a half-hour interval, I guess, is strange.
Really
yeah, but at the same time, if you're scheduling content on YouTube, YouTube does that too.
Yeah.
So it's not a totally foreign thing. Yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
What I'm going to say is going to come off inherently negative, and I don't mean it to. It's just more of I look at it from I guess, a quote-unquote business standpoint. The front page is a mess. The UI needs some work, but it's really good that they have. I think it's really good, that there's going to be some sort of competition to YouTube. However, in my humble opinion, I fully believe that those who are going to run to Twitch for all the problems YouTube is having with ads is going to happen on Twitch faster now that there's going to be videos there that people can copyright claim and cause all kinds of problems with, now that it's not just live streams. I've always said that I think Twitch is one bad creator away from having the same problems YouTube is having, because they're now owned by Amazon. If you don't think Amazon's going to bring the hammer down on Twitch if something goes wrong, then you're fucking out of your minds. And now the fact that there's going to be videos up on Twitch, that's going to be, I think, more enforceable than a live stream. So all it's going to take is one bad copyright thing or one bad whatever video to go up on Twitch to see Amazon crack down, because, believe it or not, Amazon is going to cherish their advertisers over their creators, much the same that YouTube is doing right now. On top of that, Twitch ad revenue is pittance compared to YouTube, and YouTube ad revenue is already pretty fucking bad. So, I don't know. I feel like they've got a long walk in front of them to come anywhere near.
For sure.
I think YouTube needs competition. I'm not saying it doesn't. It desperately needs competition, because, as we can see right now, without any competition, YouTube doesn't communicate. They don't really say anything until they absolutely are forced to. But I think once we see somebody step up to the plate and actually put forth a competing platform that actually has a chance to compete with YouTube, we're going to see very similar issues that YouTube is dealing with on that same platform. And it's going to affect the platform-wide, and I think it's just a matter of time. And then people are going to be all up in arms, be like, this is supposed to be the savior, this is supposed to be our way out of YouTube, and be like, welcome to business. Like, that's just not how it works.
I actually disagree.
Oh,
and I think for a couple of reasons. One of the, maybe like three. The first one is that, like, there's already videos of past broadcasts, so
right.
Like I get muted. I mean, yeah, parts of them get muted, but there's very rarely like a DMCA issue or something like that. Like they already existed on the platform. The problem that you mentioned that I agree with is that discoverability is just garbage. So like and I know that there's like Twitch staff in the chat, but like it is what it is. Like,
we're gonna talk about it a little later today, but we already had our first DMCA issue on Twitch.
Right, yeah, I know, but like compared to YouTube, it's like substantially better. But the thing that even makes me a little bit more bullish on it is the fact that Twitch's revenue, I have to assume at this point, comes largely from subscriptions as opposed to advertisers. So like, I mean, we've always said that like our experience on Twitch, at least I'll say like anecdotally, my experience on Twitch is that subscriptions make up like 90% of my revenue.
My counterpoint to that is, what's the point of anybody who doesn't have a subscription to upload videos then?
What do you mean by that?
if I can't subscribe to somebody and somebody's looking to migrate over to Twitch or something, and say they meet the threshold to start advertising on YouTube videos, but they don't meet the threshold to be partnered or affiliated on Twitch, why would I start uploading videos on Twitch and not just keep doing it on YouTube and trying to snowball that?
That doesn't really matter to me. Like, that person could do whatever they want. I'm talking from like a platform-wide standpoint. I don't necessarily... I think that Twitch has slightly more leverage than YouTube, or than Google, let's say, to just say, you know what, like the advertisers, obviously they care about the advertisers.
Yes, of course.
But I have to imagine that the vast majority of Twitch's revenue is either subscription-based, bits, and then like sponsored front page promotions and activations, Twitch Presents, like stuff like that. So I think that they're a little less beholden to the whims of advertisers. That's my perception, at least. And the third thing I'll say is that I actually think it's such a minor thing that I think could be valuable, is that, you know, we all know, like, oh, it's 6 a.m. Pacific time, the Isaac episode goes live. But instead of just knowing that it goes up, getting a notification that's also like, hey, everybody's going to be watching it simultaneously. And instead of just leaving a comment and then like refreshing and seeing if anybody replied to it, there's like a dynamic chat next to it. It makes it like a more engaging kind of event than just having it live and like, I'm going to put this on in my right monitor and post a comment, and then 6 hours later I'll check on it.
Yeah.
Can I scroll through the entirety of the chat though?
Probably
because
not,
one of the things I like about YouTube, and while the comment section of YouTube is fucking hot garbage, like reading the first few comments that may be insightful, or say, hey, this is wrong on the video, or this is something's wrong with the video, or this I don't like that, to a smaller YouTuber, in my opinion, having those comments that are constructive help evolve the channel to what it eventually become. Eventually, like listening to those first few voices when you're a new creator is so important, and then later on when you're a bigger creator, the voices can be ignored because they're contradicting one another. It's just true. Like, that's just how it works. Why not both? Why can't we? I would love to have a live chat and maybe a comment section where people can drop comments.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that as well.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I think live chat it's not that Twitch chat is always like a bastion of creativity and like positivity, but I think if you have like a...
Are you telling me all the VOD boys in chat right now are not creative?
Well, I'm just saying, like, if you have a nice community and somebody leaves a shitty comment, I hope that like 10 or 20 people will just say, hey, shut the fuck up. And then they'd like instantly feel bad after leaving a bad comment, and that would make me feel really good. I think that would be really nice for me on a mental health level. I would enjoy that. So
do you see yourself, if this became like they smoothed everything out, UI and stuff, do you see yourself uploading to both Twitch and YouTube?
Well, I mean, first off, like contractually, I don't even know if that's plausible.
Yeah, I don't think we're allowed to.
Yeah. And like everything is, for me at least, and it's not true for everybody, but everything is fine for me on YouTube. So I'm kind of like, I don't want to rock the boat. I got a good thing going on both platforms and I like it. But I sort of see the value of the Twitch video player, I'll admit.
No, I do too, but I can't help but look at it a little bit more critically.
Nick, what do you think?
Well, go ahead.
So when you go to your Twitch page and you say you follow, I don't know, between like 50 and 100 people, which I think most of us have probably accumulated a pretty good size list. How do you look at that list and go, well, these people are live and I can talk to them right now, or I can look at this video that there's no response to? Like, I guess the chat will be helpful for sure. I mean, some people would want that environment, but would you not prioritize the real person that's actually there over the pre-recorded content? Because that's kind of what Twitch built itself off of.
I was going to say, I think that's because Twitch built itself on live content. Most people are going to be like, y'all watch the person who's live because I can interact.
I don't know. Like, maybe, I mean, as we established on the NLSS yesterday, I'm a Republican through and through. I'm going to watch whatever, like, I want to watch. Like,
I'm sure you will. It's just that I was honestly asking.
If any of you guys are live, I would probably watch you. But like every Sunday at like maybe 11 a.m. Pacific time, no one's online. I don't know why, but it's just like a gap in the schedules. People are watching football, spending time with their family. Now I'm like, oh, there's like 10 channels I follow that are live, but I don't really like them that much. So if it was like, hey, Austin's got a Slay the Spire episode that's premiering in 10 minutes, I'd probably go over there and watch that. Because you don't get to talk to the streamer, but you still get like a sense of community,
the community
I think,
thing,
in the chat.
I think that's the biggest aspect of it. I think like what you were saying, Ryan, is probably going to be what Twitch would consider an ideal use of this feature. Like, if you were to start uploading your daily Isaacs over on Twitch and say, like, hey, I'm going to premiere these on Twitch now from now on, I think a lot of people would show up and want to be a part of that, you know? So there's potential there for sure with people like, well, like, think about streamers like Lyric, for example, who can throw on a vodcast. He's not even there, but he can probably still pull a couple thousand viewers just of people that want to be there and hang out in that community, in that chat, right? So there's...
I wonder... sorry, I keep kind of pondering around like this because... So if we're going to do videos, and that's kind of like something you're thinking about doing on Twitch and whatnot, I do wonder how many people are willing to subscribe to you if you're just doing a video as opposed to waiting till you're live because they enjoy the little interpersonal call out that you give at the end of a stream.
I will say, like, I still kind of struggle to see how premieres are going to be monetized well. Because right now it just seems like it's kind of like... it's a value add. Like, you're still going to make almost all of your monthly income from the times that you're live. And I don't know if this is one of those things, like, I don't want to call anybody out. We were talking about it during the freaking Twitch game revenue sales discussion like a year and a half ago. I was like, no one's going to care about this in a year because the top streamers are going to make 8 cents a month on this. Yeah. And it's where we're at.
That is.
And I just don't know. True. I don't know if this is going to be that, or if it's going to be bit level, or if it's going to be ad level. I mean, it's definitely not going to be like live subscription level, but still.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I was just going to say, yeah, like, it's funny how discussing that game sales feature, like, it's basically negligible at this point. You might as well not even pay attention.
Let's argue about it for like an hour.
For content. All right.
You never know. Like, you got to talk about it when it happens because you never know. I mean, we talked about the YouTube gaming thing when that hit, and we're like, they have a shot at putting a dent in Twitch if they play their cards right, but much like everything YouTube does, and then they announced it, and the next day they ignored it. It was just like, all right, so what was the fucking point? I'm sure they make good money off YouTube gaming. I know a few people who stream exclusively on YouTube, but most people stream on Twitch. Yeah, and for good reason.
I doubt, however, that most people will begin to upload video on Twitch now that this video producer thing is available.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing. Like, I see people that have, like, abandoned YouTube are like, I'm going to start uploading on Twitch. And I'm like, you know, I don't want to be cynical, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, when are we going to Mixer?
Well, the thing is, like, monetization on YouTube has gotten worse, but, like, just because there's another option doesn't, like, if you already have, like, a base on YouTube, you've pushed the rock up the mountain so far, and you're going to start from like near zero on this platform that's untested.
And I don't know if you guys talked about it the last stream. I don't know if it happened the last stream, but it was that whole the new partnership requirements and stuff. I think is going to be good.
That is, I don't even want to talk about that, but I'm gonna because I hate myself. You can't talk about it. You can't talk about it on Twitter because you end up becoming like an evil, faceless like creator. But the thing is. Like, so the YouTube changed it used to be they have 10,000 views lifetime to be able to monetize on YouTube.
10,000 views, yeah.
And now, like, they made it so you need to have like 4,000 hours of your content watched in the past year and 1,000 subscribers. And people were like, even I respect that big creators are like looking out for little creators, but you're actually, and maybe I'm evil for saying this, you're arguing about like 50 cents, 30 cents, $1.10. Like, sure, I get that people are upset that like they won't be able to monetize their videos, but people were making tweets like, my dream it was within reach and now they've made it harder. Why even try? You're like,
it wasn't within reach. Like that's what I hate. Like, right? Because back in that particular form where you can only have 10,000 views, that's it. You still had to wait till you made $100 before Google sent you any money. Like that, it was $100 cap before they sent you any money.
Yeah,
that was going to take you at that rate for most people. That was going to take you like a year. You're still going to make that money when you hit that cap. Like, your dream is no further away than it already was. It's just you're not making the pennies that you were making every day anymore.
The part you're not considering though is that the way the engine works prioritizes monetized videos, right? So
YouTube has denied that.
Get the spiral going. No, they don't do that.
They have denied that publicly on Twitter that that's not how it works.
Oh, well, good.
It's not. People have assumed it because it makes them money.
But the thing is, you never know, right?
Yeah, you don't know. They publicly said that that's not true.
That does go a little ways for me, at least. Like, for them to say anything about it at all is rare. So. Well,
right.
And again,
I was operating under it, that being a thing, and also if you're an animator or something that takes a disproportionate amount of time to create like a 1-minute video, you're kind of getting worked against in both directions.
But you are conceptually, but financially you're not, in my opinion. Because like it takes a ton of work to make an animation. If that animation gets like it's 15 seconds long and it gets 100 views, sure, it sucks that you're not going to hit 4,000 hours of watch time, but it's literally like $1.75.
Right, I would say try and open a Patreon then if that's where you're going with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fine. Like, obvious. In fact, if you're like a small channel, like you're so small that you're not able to get 4,000 hours of watch time. If you have like one person that supports you on Patreon at like $5 a month, you're making probably like 10 times more.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing. Animators, like, they were already fucked on YouTube. I kind of agree with Chad in that. If it takes you a month to make a video that's, 45 seconds long but really high quality, YouTube is not built to support that kind of content versus some asshole like me who can make like 5 roguelite videos a day and every day and just keep pumping them out.
Speaking of Patreon, if you want to support the show, go over to patreon.com/roundtable. You guys, you go, support the show.
We would appreciate it very much.
That's nice.
Yeah. But the reason I bring that up, by the way, is because we were talking about ads, and one of the biggest issues on YouTube right now is there's not enough ads to go around. There's just not enough. So bringing that bar up higher ensures that there are more ads to go around for the people who have been, this is their profession at this point, and hopefully alleviate some of that issue.
Yeah.
Can I bring up one more Twitch thing before we move on?
Yeah. All right.
Is there a cap on how much memory you can take up? Is it like, because YouTube just lets you upload infinite videos. I know Twitch has been kind of iffy about that with like how long they let you keep your VODs.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean, I'd love to keep my VODs forever. So if we're going to let you upload infinite videos, can I have all my VODs?
After a video is premiered, it's made available for on-demand viewing indefinitely.
And the other thing, though, is like as a partner, you can make your VODs indefinite. You just have
to
highlight.
The highlights stay.
Yeah. The highlights
stay. Like, can so
just highlight the entire stream.
But I mean, you could
just usually highlight the entire.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's such a silly. Okay, it's a stupid thing to get.
It's a workaround for something that should be there.
I mean, a lot of Twitch is still a workaround, really. Like, there's just they have solutions to problems that are just kind of like pieced on to what they had already, right? Like they've been building the platform and just putting new pieces on from the start. Okay,
I'm more positive than I expected to be on this.
Yeah,
sure.
Like, I think there's room to change, and again, it's just discoverability is going to be the problem for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of in a privileged position because people are going to watch. At least a certain proportion of people are going to watch our content no matter where we put it. But like, it still sucks if you're like you have one viewer on Twitch or something like that. How do people find you?
Right.
Well, I don't know. That's a longer discussion, I guess. But like,
yeah,
that's when you find a game no one is playing, play that game, be it the 3 or 4 scrolls down, and then they can find you.
Play that for the 50 people playing that game.
And then Lyric will play it 2 weeks later, and he will get all the views.
You set him up. Good job. Xbox Game Pass has made big changes. So, I was making a mention to you guys about this in the chat there, but you'll recall, I think it was maybe even as recently as like maybe 6 months ago, I think, Phil Spencer was quoted as saying that Microsoft was trying to work on, quote, the Netflix for games, right?
I vaguely remember that, yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like they've done it now. Well, at least to their own extent. So, the Xbox Game Pass, formerly a monthly subscription that was $9.99 a month, would give you access to a catalog of over 100 old Xbox games. Those range from things like Halo Wars to BioShock Infinite to Dead Rising 2, things like that. So it was decent value, never really all that fantastic though. They just made an announcement this week that starting, I believe, I just had the date. I think it's soon. Probably starting with the release of Sea of Thieves, I would assume. You will be able to receive new Microsoft Xbox exclusives through the Game Pass on release day, which is pretty cool. Every new Microsoft exclusive release will be included with the Xbox Game Pass moving forward for $10 a month. That includes State of Decay 2, Crackdown 3, among others. This is a big deal. Like, this is a cool move by Microsoft, in my opinion. What does the Roundtable feel?
I'm for it.
Yeah.
It's like good value, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I wish I could will myself to care, but
I won't buy an Xbox for it.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's like
I might care later.
It's kind of sad because this is like one of the best things they could have done, and still everyone here is just like, yeah, all right, it's like it's good, but
it's not for us. Like we have problems playing new stuff that we're supposed to play and care about. So like I don't think we're necessarily in the market to like, hey, I have like a library of 100 games from 12 months to 48 months ago.
It's
like
primarily the exclusive things now, though, is the big issue.
Yeah.
You know, like that's,
I mean, I can see that.
That is a pretty big deal.
I don't know. Like I already, like I bought PS Plus and I was mad about it.
That's a much better value, I think.
I was like, I shouldn't have to do this. But I don't even download the games from PS Plus.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm not going to play, I'm not going to let it die starter pack. I got other things that appeal to me.
There's more than the Let It Die starter pack. They actually put a couple of good games in each month, but you're supposed to build those so you feel guilty when you eventually let your subscription lapse. And so you're actually breaking their subscription model by not getting the free games. So please correct that.
Well, I'm not gonna though.
It's like Sony's going to be very disappointed with it, and I'll tell them.
Don't tell Sony.
It's like you said, though, this is definitely not for us. But this, I think, is a pretty good deal for, like I said, this is going to continue the trend of the year of the console gamer, man. This is fantastic. This is
year of the
finally
also known as Bear's PR stunt to make console gamers not hate us.
They're going to love us again, man.
I think if you're like, I don't know why I had to say, like, if you're a kid. That's not the right way to phrase this. I think if you own an Xbox and you're like, bored of the stuff that you're playing, $10 a month to get access to like betas for new stuff as well as a big back catalog is probably like the cheapest way to experience this. Like it's the Netflix model is a little different, I think, for most of us, because for me it's like no skin off my scrot whether I watch a movie that came out 2 years ago or a movie that just came out.
Right, yeah.
Unless it's like I'm so motivated to see this new movie.
Right.
But like for games, it's kind of like a little bit, because a lot of it is like multiplayer. Is the community still there? Are people still excited about this game? Are there people I can talk to about it online? So it's like a little bit less appealing, but I could still see like, especially if you have a habit of like, I want to chew through like a bunch of single player stuff. Like, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. There we go. It's exciting news, good stuff coming from Microsoft.
To give Microsoft a little bit of props, they've been doing a lot to try and bring back like the gamers, I guess, quote unquote, to their console recently.
A lot?
Well, the new consoles, the new console itself is like the most powerful console on the market that you can get.
Yeah,
and it runs most cross-platform games at 60 FPS, where the PS4 struggles to maintain 60 FPS for some games.
Does it do that?
Yeah. There's literally a game.
Sorry, I keep interjecting with the exact same inflection. I'm just really everything you're saying, I'm like, I feel like I think things to the contrary of that, but I'm not 100%.
No, the Xbox One X is a good console. It's just...
I thought we were still upscaling from 900p or something for most of them, and it was like struggling to hit 45 on a lot of games or something. Maybe this is not the case.
I think that's what... No, you might be thinking of the Pro, but I don't know.
Yeah. I'm mad about the freaking performance mode for Shadow of the Colossus.
Dude, don't be, though, because it's not an issue. Also, never say anything bad about that game until it's out. You cannot...
Well, I thought I could get 60 FPS on not buying a new console again.
Oh, well, okay, there is that issue, but...
That's what I meant.
Like, it's all I have left. Please, just don't hurt.
I'm not
don't
trying
hurt
to
my
take
baby.
it away
You're
from
trying.
Do it. Take it away. Rip it from him.
Don't.
All right.
Leave him alone.
If you want, you can go watch Jacksepticeye play right now.
I'm not going to do that. No, absolutely not. I like Jack, but I'm not going to spoil the experience for myself. Yeah. So this is just good news. I think I'm kind of with you there, Mathis. Honestly, like Microsoft, while it is kind of it's damage control though, due to the fact that they fucked themselves over with the Kinect. So yeah, they're just kind of trying to come back, but.
I take no pleasure in being the most anti-Microsoft guy here as someone who's literally enrolled in like a class based on the programming language they invented. That being, which I like a lot, but wasn't like their best exclusive last year was like Forza Hot Wheels or something like that. It's just
that
like
did look pretty cool, actually.
I mean, they don't have a lot.
That's the thing is like, you know, from a hardware standpoint and a service standpoint, I think these are obviously good things, but I don't know. I think they're building like backwards, and it's not that easy to just be like, you know, go to the store and buy some exclusives. Like it's different, but like it's still I don't know.
And a lot of their exclusives are also on PC.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're on Windows 10 now. Like Sea of Thieves is on Windows 10, which is like probably the reason that everybody on Twitch has purchased the Xbox Games on Demand or whatever it's called, the Game Pass recently. But like, I don't know. I just don't. I can't. My console is a 50% success rate turning on, so I still have to be the guy who's like, this sucks. Like, it's great that sure.
No,
On average, if I turn it on twice, I could probably access this feature if I wanted to, which I don't.
You've got a legitimate point there, though. Let me read you the list of Microsoft exclusives from 2017. Forza Motorsport 7, Halo Wars 2, ReCore, you remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
Zoo Tycoon, Ultimate Animal Collection. Rush, a Disney Pixar adventure. Disneyland Adventures, which was like that. I think that's just the Disneyland tour game, right? Where you just walk around Disneyland with your kids.
Sick.
Super Lucky's Tale, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
That wasn't exclusive. Super Lucky's Tale was the Oculus game.
Oh, well then
it's console exclusive.
Oh.
When they say exclusive, it's on.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Most of their exclusives are also on the PC.
Right.
But
if you have Windows.
PUBG, there you go. Phantom Dust and Voodoo Vince Remastered. So,
Voodoo Vince Remastered?
Phantom Dust?
Phantom
You mean
Dust.
Yeah, the card game. They re-released.
Not the re-release, though. Like, they redid the old one?
Oh, yeah, no, apparently this is... No, you're right, the 2004...
Because they canceled that.
No, it's the re-release of the 04 one.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that got... Yep, put it out on the Xbox One last year.
Oh, my bad. It wasn't Super Lucky's Tale on Oculus. It was just Lucky's Tale.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
All right. Anyway, Xbox Game Pass, there you go. Let's go on to Ubisoft.
I'll take the reins.
Please do, yeah.
What are you doing? I love... Okay, so here's the story. Rainbow Six Siege is now very, very popular again. So what Ubisoft is doing is raising the price of the game by $20. And
what?
Also adding real, like, loot boxes that can only be purchased with real money.
What?
This is what you get, Ryan, for making this game popular. This is all your fault.
You get 10. You get 10 of the new loot boxes if you're a new player of the game. But if you've ever purchased the game in the past or a season pass, you don't get the free stuff, despite owning the season pass, which is supposed to entitle you to all of the free stuff.
Welcome to the Ubisoft boardroom panel. Let's have a conversation.
Literally,
we killed For Honor. How can we kill Rainbow Six Siege?
Somebody told me in chat. They're like, "Well, did you see?" I think it was on Wednesday's show. They were like, "Did you see that Siege is raising its price by $20?" And I was almost like, "That can't be true."
Yeah, that's fake news.
It's popular now. It's just leave it as is, or like even make it a little cheaper, and then.
Nah, man, this is all part of the long con. They're going to bump it up by $20 so nobody buys it. Then they have an excuse to go free to play with only microtransactions.
But they already have that. Is like this is why I want to take the reins. They already have the starter edition that is like $10, and then it's free to play for. Right? It's free to play after that, but it costs you like 100 hours per operator or something like that. It's actually just the kind of thing where you go, somebody at the. I'm not going to put this kind of pressure on somebody, but in my head, if this were a movie. And you're the studio lead on Rainbow from on high, somebody says, "Hey, raise the price of the game $20." You got to get into this. Like, I'm gonna quit.
Yeah.
If you don't reverse this, I'm gonna quit because this is gonna. The press on this is so bad for a game that like died and then was resurrected from the dead.
Yeah.
Let me guess. Their PR response to this has been, "You should be thankful that we're still supporting this game."
Not really. Like it's been more like
it's a bit egregious, I think. Right?
They've just been ignoring it for the most part. Like, and they literally announced it like a day ago or something like that, or a day and a half ago. So
I'm surprised they announced it.
Well, they tried to sneak it in, like because there's an update coming out that's going to add like a new mode, but then they're also
$20
like
mode.
They're like, we're going to raise the price. and we're gonna like change up the economy to make sure that it's like better. But everyone's like, this is not better; it's just worse. And I really feel for the people that are like, it's had a huge uptick recently, but people have bought the game in 2015, 2016, over the past couple of years. They bought season passes, and those people are eating it because they put like $200 into this game for a decent amount of content, admittedly. Like the new operators are transformative content, and they've been supporting it with updates and new maps and stuff like that. But like to then just be like, by the way, new players get free stuff, but if you put money into the game, nah. Like you don't get it. People are like, why am I... Like it's the point? We thought that it's such a good game.
Oh my god! That
came back. Corey took issue with me saying it's from the dead, but like it dipped real hard. And then last year it did something like 25 million players, not concurrent players, obviously, but players. And now they're like, hey, we got like a little uptick. What should we do? Should we like, we're probably making a lot more money off this game than we were recently with the release of the last update and the new season pass. Yeah, exactly. Let's make it now that people want to buy it. Let's raise the price by $20, and then. I can't stress enough. There were already loot boxes, and the operators took a lot of in-game time.
It was already an issue. It wasn't even
it was already something that people were like, why is Ubisoft getting a pass when like EA is kind of eating it for Battlefront?
Exactly.
Yeah.
To then be like, okay, you can also only buy these new crates with real money, whereas at least previously you could have bought them with Renown. Like it took forever. It took a long time, but still, like you're just like, this is brain dead.
This is them reading the room, and they're going, "We're missing out on money. We got to get on this because it's imploding."
How
this
can
is the last chance to gouge our customers?
I just don't understand how they can't look at what happened to Battlefront 2 and be like, we should probably, relax on that.
That's my biggest thing,
6
dude.
months.
They're looking at it like a distraction. Like, oh, they're all going to keep their eyes on Battlefront. Maybe we could get something done over here.
Listen, the internet forgets quick. Battlefront isn't being examined nearly as hard anymore.
Well, I thought
that's because it got like 6s and everyone left it behind.
It made mainstream news though, which is
crazy, man. Like that. I don't I logically can't figure out why this is
money.
Yeah, I mean, I get money. But can they not see what happened with EA and be like, yeah, we can get away with it?
They can see. They just want money.
They can see the money.
Wow.
They'll just go, we'll just take the hit. We got paid, so fuck you, I guess.
They literally, let me see when this post came out. 4 minutes ago. Probably not because of this show, but that'd be
They're watching.
Hey guys. We brought the game back, and now
they released a statement, and the statement was like, hey, like, we hear you loud and clear, so, like, for our veteran players, any of you that play an online match between now and March 6th will receive the upcoming Ash Sidewinder Elite skin for free. So
incredible work. That's
like a $7 value, but it's also like, if you're a rational adult, it's also a $0 value.
Yeah.
It's an aesthetic item. Yeah. And then for our newcomers and those of you concerned about introducing your friends to the game, we'll be keeping the standard edition in the store at the current price. So I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
All right.
that's walking back, which is nice.
Yep.
For those of you who have raised concerns over the starter edition when it comes to acquiring operators, because it takes like 14 hours to get each operator or something. Yeah. We'll be sharing more information about our next steps during the 6th Invitational. We recognize this has been a point of frustration for people, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, that's a good thing, I guess, that it seems like they're walking it back. But, like, you've been in... Was it like your first day on the job? Right. And you're like, I wonder how the internet's going to react to this. Yeah. Like, just...
Some guys, it's like, internet, what's that?
It all feels calculated to me, though. Like, they throw the line out, and then they have the apology ready to go beforehand.
Absolutely.
And then they just put it out, and they're like, we're just going to eat this bad PR.
Oh, yeah. They dip their toe in the water. And
so it's not an apology. They're just saying, fuck you to your face is all it is.
I don't buy that, to be honest. Like, I don't believe the conspiracy theory of, like, deliberately take bad press. It is. Well, unless you got some proof that they deliberately... took bad press to get good press, then it's like it's kind of a conspiracy.
Not like the deliberate taking of bad. Like, they're not doing this to take bad press. They're doing it and expect to take bad press. They know it will happen.
I think that they were trying to do was just seeing if they could get away with it. That's all. Yeah. I don't think they're doing it to whip up bad press for attention. I think they're like, all right, has it been long enough since EA? Nope, not yet. All right, sorry.
They know they can absorb it. That's the thing. They're gonna get away with it, and they know that, and that's what.
But they didn't get away with it.
How didn't they?
Like, because they walked it back.
They want
that was
like
part of the story, though.
That's the conspiracy.
As conspiracy theorists as it may be, I'm actually kind of on Nick's side that they probably had a contingency plan for like, okay, if people get mad at this, what's our first step? You know, like what can we do to alleviate the frustration a little bit right away? And we have this skin we'll give away. Say, sorry, let's dial it back one, dial it back two. That's probably part of the plan. I don't think that's too far-fetched.
But then what do they gain for this?
Money.
Like, but how? Because they walked it back, and they're just giving away a cosmetic skin that they weren't giving away yesterday.
That's nothing to that. You just said that.
But they didn't get anything out of it.
They're gonna get more money.
How so?
Because they're still like, no, they only rolled back the standard one, right?
Yeah.
So they still have
the starter edition
increases.
hasn't changed. The starter edition is still it's always been the same.
Okay, but they still have that
release.
the gold edition jump, right? And then the advanced edition went up as well. They've still got the microtransaction. They still added the loot boxes. So they're gonna make money in the long term.
The loot boxes I'll give you,
yeah.
But everything else, I don't know. It just seems like it's too tinfoily to be like, we're gonna take a PR hit, and then hopefully people won't get mad. But if they get mad, we'll give them a little tease here, and we'll still make money on the back end.
Dude,
what I thought,
every part of that sounds
absolutely
plausible.
no.
Plausible is not the same as real, though. Is the thing?
It's becoming that way. It really is.
I think we're more cynical than that, Brian.
It's very simple. I 100% believe in the axiom: never attribute to malice that which could be easily explained by ignorance.
Yeah.
And I really think that they
probably.
I think they literally just thought that people wouldn't care that much, or they were like, people who already bought the game for $60 2 years ago are not going to care that people now are going to get a little bit more juice when they buy it or something like that. I think that's what they expected. And then when there was a backlash, because apparently nobody on like the executive team has ever looked at an internet comment thread.
That's what
they went like, oh shit, like this is all wrong. I don't think there was like a big like 4D chessboard where they're like, and then we'll give them the Ash Elite
I don't
skin.
think they need a 4D chessboard to go, we got some bad PR, give them a thing.
That's what
but that's not.
No, ask yourself, look at the two situations you just created, though, and ask yourself which one is more logical. Do they have this situation in place where they have to create a backup in case there's some backlash because they know that people won't like this, or they're completely ignorant to it, which is worse?
That's all I'm saying.
Like, it's so much worse. I think if they have no idea, if they're that out of touch, that's almost worse.
You can't just accuse them of that. Like,
I'm so wary of that. Either way, it's terrible. That's all I'm saying.
What other option?
Either way, it sucks.
Here's my issue. Like, you can't accuse them with that. Then don't work in the industry. Don't be that ignorant to not to the way the internet works and the way the gamers work and consumers work, and then work in an industry. So me going to work in a restaurant and be like, all right, how do I cook a steak well done?
No, but I'm wary of the fact that we're stoking our audience to be like overly incendiary to the team without having any proof to back it up.
I'm not saying it's the developers, though.
I think so is the publisher.
Don't you think but still, I think we're kind of contributing to a culture of like getting pissed off at these guys without any proof. Like, there's enough proof for things that these companies do badly, like the EA stuff, which was just terrible, and then walking it back in a way that was like, we think it'll give you a sense of hard work and accomplishment. That's something you can skewer them for. But this kind of like...
How about they buy some fucking goodwill after all of this nonsense?
That's fine.
How about they just stop fucking us over and give us some free shit and stop being assholes about it? That's all I'm really after.
That's fine, but we have to be better than that. You can't skewer them over what might be a fiction.
No, I'm with you there. That's true.
They're aware of the current climate of this industry, and they're still pulling this shit as if it's not going on. And that's why I don't get it.
Like, the reason I think it's such an egregious offense. We started this off as like, how in the fuck do they rationalize this, right? Because it's so ridiculous.
So it's a brain dead decision. The price of a 2-year-old game.
Yeah, that is nuts. That is totally nuts. Like, when has that ever happened? Ever?
Isaac is now $30. People like it.
I'm going to be very deliberate in the way that I phrase this. I'm the
this
only
is a fun one.
You,
I'm having fun with this.
I'm the only one of you motherfuckers who plays this goddamn game.
I played a little bit.
We carried the whole story
together.
The rest of you motherfuckers have read the headline and then listened to me talk about it.
No, I read the damn story.
That is stronger than mine with less evidence. We have an obligation as people pushing news to like maybe 1,000 people, or in VOD form like 10,000 people watching this, to be responsible in the way that we cover this stuff. So I refuse to say that it's okay to be like, yeah, they probably did this just to fuck people over, and then they walked it back for like financial reasons later. I can't do that.
No, the malice is not they wanted to fuck people over. They wanted money. The fucking people over happens as a result of the wanting money.
What we are asking you to acknowledge is that they probably, or let's not even call it that. Let's acknowledge the possibility that they had a contingency plan for this.
And of course, I think that's probably fair.
Yeah.
And I obviously don't disagree that the decision was made to make more money.
Right.
But that's like, I mean, if we agree on that, that doesn't mean we agree on the fact that this is all one big conspiracy. Because like the way I was interpreting what you guys are saying is the idea that they were like, hey, we're going to come up with this thing that's really bad. And then people are going to hate it. What we're going to do is put something shiny in front of their face, like an elite skin, and then do something that's only half as bad to still make more money.
No, I fully believe they went into this thinking they could get away with it.
Yes, that's what I think as well.
No, I'm not saying they were doing this to be like, ha ha, it's so bad, but we still sneak this shit in. I think they were like, dip their toe in, like, can we get away with this?
Yeah.
Can we bump the price? Oh shit, no, we can't. Quick damage control. But I also believe that they fully expected that this could go wrong and were prepared for it to go wrong.
Sure, yeah.
I don't think that they were like, let's create a really, really bad thing so our less bad thing can get away.
So Mathis just said what we said, and now it's not outrageous. I don't get what
I think it was a misunderstanding from the start, I think, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was unconsidered diction or something like that, but it definitely came across
you can eat
like
my diction.
What it came across as is the idea that like all of this has been one calculated move to screw over players. No. Which I really think that what it was is that they thought, like Matt has said, they thought they could get away with it.
Yeah.
And then when they didn't, they were like, okay, well, I genuinely think that in their heart, they're like, this is a mea culpa for us. We'll give them something free. We'll walk back the price raise, and there's still going to be the loot boxes. But at least, like, the thing is, if they had just announced that we're adding real money loot boxes, this wouldn't even be a story.
Yeah.
The big thing for people is the fact that it's $20 extra. Like, that's the lightning rod that gets all the criticism. So it's not a win for people. Mm-hmm. That there's now real money loot boxes in the game, but it is the kind of thing you can just ignore. I just think like
it still might have been a story, honestly. Like with the landscape of the way things are now, the fact that they added it after the fact might still make news. But
I have to go a little further. People in chat are like, I'm 100% sure it's a calculated plan. We can't do that.
Yeah,
you can say that, but we can't do that without proof. It's not responsible in this situation. And there's a huge difference between this is a bad decision that's ignorant, and this is like calculated extortion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what a conspiracy is, definitionally, is a bunch of people getting together to plan something. And you don't believe that as a member of a business you would have a plan?
Oh, so all plans are conspiracies now. Okay. That's what you're saying. I have a conspiracy to talk with my wife about where we're going to go.
The word has been blown out of proportion and is being used as a weapon when it's not actually about that at all, is what I'm trying to say.
I don't know. It seems like people were coming across like it's deliberately malicious. And I think what it really is they were like, we could probably make more money doing this, and I don't think people will care. And then people cared, and they went, oh, okay, we'll walk it back a little bit at least.
Yeah. I'm curious to, follow up with it next week, see how things ended up playing out. But,
honestly, I hope companies keep fucking up like this because it'll keep it on everybody's mind.
I guess there's a silver lining to it.
Hilarious to me.
I'm actually troubled, and I mean that sincerely. Like, I don't know, because
by us or by just the
by chat's reaction.
Yeah.
You're so eager to buy into a narrative that these companies are evil, and some of them are malicious. I think that's doubtless, but it's too convenient to believe without proof. Like that, it's just as misleading as believing like a press release that this game's going to revolutionize the industry. It's just on the more cynical side. It's still just as deceptive.
Yeah, and like you said, like there's enough to be mad at already where we don't have to create these additional issues. Like it's enough of a face value offense to chastise them for it already.
I'm wary of us being fake news. There's, like you said, there's enough bad news. I don't feel good about contributing to a culture of like we're gonna skewer them over a suspicion that we've made up in our own heads.
We had like it's just unfortunate the way things are going right now, the pattern has forced us down this road of we have to like make a stand or otherwise just get trampled down, and then we get to a point where we have to concern ourselves with things like this. So hopefully it's just gonna get a little better as we go.
I don't feel like it's a suspicion to me. They have done a thing that is egregious.
No, I didn't. Did I say suspicion?
Like, no. I was just still pondering what Ryan just said. And it's like, I don't think it's as nebulous as he thinks it is, or at least I don't see it that way.
Yeah, no, we have like blatant examples, obviously. I do want to talk about this other Ubisoft thing, though, real quick while we're on them. They introduced a new AI gaming assistant named Sam. He's gonna be like Google, but only for Ubisoft things. So if you needed that in your life, here you go.
What do you mean by that?
Work as well as was it going to work as well as their Ubisoft launcher?
Yes.
So then broken
probably.
What the hell is this?
Let me describe this to you. Ubisoft is encouraging players to more regularly engage with their Ubisoft Club account by conversing with a chatty new AI, Sam, the Ubisoft personal gaming assistant. All
right.
Using in-app text chat, voice to text, and such things, you can talk to Sam just like you would talk to, say, Siri.
Clippy.
Sippy?
Right.
Clippy was the Microsoft word.
I know who Clippy is.
Sorry,
you have to explain Clippy to me. I'm from the same generation as you. So yeah, it's like Clippy, but for Rainbow Six and Assassin's Creed. So you can ask Sam to check your in-game stats. You can ask. So one of my favorite images of this that really highlights just how completely useless it is it's a guy saying, "Hey Sam, what's the weather like?" And he says, "My weather functionality is dedicated to gaming. I can give you a real-time forecast in Ubisoft games. Right now it's 39 degrees Celsius in Assassin's Creed Origins, 29 in Ghost Recon Wildlands, and 14 in Rainbow Six Siege."
You just rocked my whole world there.
All right, yeah, you got to get in on this shit, dude.
This is my new life.
It's great.
I'm going to find out the weather in games.
Unfortunately, it's only available in closed beta in Canada right now, so Ryan's going to have to sign up and let us know how it is.
Right, you better download that. I want you to use it.
You got to up your Siege game, dog. This is your leg up on the competition right here, Sam.
It's the weather in Rainbow Six Siege.
I wasn't listening at all.
I know.
I'm just going to be honest.
I know. I know when you're not.
Can you get GPS directions out of Ghost Recon Wildlands?
I hope so. So yeah,
this sounds like the dumbest thing.
It's pretty silly. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I hope this is just, I don't know what
immersion.
Why? Why do you need it's literally Siri, but exclusively for Ubisoft stuff. And you can just Google this stuff. It's just Google.
Oh, is it for data collection?
Oh, yeah.
Are they doing this? They probably just want people to search and then they're going to
put the tinfoil hat back on, yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to justify, why would this exist? What is the actual point of this?
Immersion.
It's a silly thing. I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, Ryan will download that and let us know all about it. Let's go to, hey, ESL. They done goofed.
Yeah, they did. That was fun.
That was a weird choice. So, over the last week or so, ESL has been...
Pay attention, Ryan.
ESL has been running a Dota 2 tournament. Do you know... It's a major event, right? Like, it's a pretty big tournament, so it's not just a throwaway thing.
Yep.
And they signed a deal with Facebook, an exclusivity streaming deal. So ESL is not streaming the event on Twitch or YouTube, as people have come to expect from these sorts of things. It's on Facebook exclusively. That didn't go very well. The tournament ended up pulling in, I think, near 2,000 viewers compared to probably something like the multi-tens of thousands for previous tournaments. And the community also was not really particularly fond of the Facebook choice, and
surprise.
Yeah, no, it wasn't really shocking to a lot of folks. So ended up being that a lot of the Dota community restreamed the Facebook broadcast, including some popular streamers like Bulldog. I don't know who these people are, but I'm sure some people will. And they were issued DMCA takedowns by ESL for doing so on Twitch. The restreams were taken down via DMCA, which is not legal, nor is it advisable if you're ESL. And Steam/Valve found out about that, and they weren't happy, and they bitch smacked them. So
it is an important distinction. I was going to say something, but Chet's also bringing it up. They didn't restream the Facebook stream.
Right, yeah.
They went into the game and just streamed and casted
that's a thing that people have done previously too, right? It's like they go into the actual in-game mode for the tournaments and they can like restream their own
they do their own streams, and that is completely allowed by Valve in every way. And so the fact that ESL issued DMCAs and they were doubling down on it, and then Valve had to step and be like, no, ESL, you're incredibly wrong.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll just read this because it's pretty short, the actual memo that the Dota team sent out regarding this. They say, the first issue we've been seeing discussed is regarding DMCA notices. This one is very simple. No one besides Valve is allowed to send DMCA notices for games streamed off of Dota TV that aren't using the broadcaster's unique content. So there's the parameter there of why it's important that they weren't restreaming the Facebook one, because they were doing their own thing. And that also leads into the second issue is regarding who is permitted to cast off of Dota TV. They designed the guidelines to be flexible to allow up-and-coming casters or community figures like the two that are, or BSJ or Bulldog, I don't know who BSJ is, that occasionally watch tournament games on their channel to be able to stream off of Dota TV. It's not to allow commercial organizations like BTS to compete with the primary stream. It'll be our judgment alone on who violates this guideline and not any other third parties, which was a little bit of the cherry on top of the end, I think, for a lot of people. So Valve, in short order, comes in and lays the hammer down. ESL is in a very interesting position now, with the Facebook exclusivity still weighing heavily down on their shoulders. I'm sure they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with that. But a lot of people are starting to think they might just be kind of screwed.
Well, I'm curious how much Facebook paid them.
Hopefully a lot.
I'm curious I wonder what ESL pitched them, because the fact that they only got 2,000 viewers on Facebook is nothing.
Yeah. Just a cash grab, right? I mean, geez, how do you... Obviously, don't go to Facebook for the Dota tournament. How does that make logical sense for anybody, really?
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, so this is a silly thing. It was nice, even not really being an active participant or spectator in something like this. It is good to see Valve laying the hammer down the way they did. And, Ryan and I have had our own experiences with ESL making not so genius decisions, so this isn't exactly the most surprising thing from
that was the company that wanted to do Rocket League stuff, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, we had we were trying to, and then they decided that there's not a big.
Wasn't there just like a moment where Rocket League had a potential for being some cool esports thing, and then that?
It got there. Like it's there now.
Absolutely.
Is it there now? All right, I don't
for sure. But like, it's just like, I mean, our perspective, if we're okay to talk about it.
I don't think they're watching. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're in the clear.
Well, like, I won't badmouth ESL because they did give us like an opportunity.
Yeah.
But all we were saying behind the scenes is like, put more money and like resources in this faster.
Yeah. Go fund yourself.
And we were like not getting, we weren't getting any traction. So it was like our perception from working with them is that, they're professionals, but it's also like bureaucratic. Like it's super slow. So if you ever want anything to get through, it's going to take a while. So, I mean, they were running these like $75 tournaments, split three ways between the winning team.
Yeah.
And we were like, you got to like up that. And they're like, well, we don't know if the market's there yet. We're like, we got like 12,000 viewers on the first show for $75 prize
with
pool.
Like not very good teams. Like, come on, this is crazy.
Yeah, like a month after the game came out or something like that. But I guess from a business standpoint, I don't necessarily blame them, even though in hindsight it's been proven to be probably the wrong decision.
Yeah.
But I don't know where ESL is at for Rocket League. Maybe they're at the top.
They're not.
But yeah, I mean, okay.
I can tell you they're not.
It doesn't surprise me necessarily that they're making a decision that definitely seems like it is by someone who is, or a group of people that are essentially tone deaf with the state of the industry, where DMCAing almost always, no matter what, makes you the bad guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, not a lot of.
I do wonder how many viewers like the Twitch streamers were getting.
I heard that a lot of the streams were actually pulling more viewers than the Facebook broadcast, which is pretty sad. Nick, you got any hot takes on this one? All right, that's fine.
I got nothing, sorry.
I do want to hear you talk about Medieval Engineers then.
Yeah, I can do that for sure. So Medieval Engineers is a sort of a sandbox, buildy kind of game with some physics by Keen Software House. Debuted back in 2015, and it is still in early access. But I've been playing it a bit with Malf and Rob, and we started to build some towns in it, and it's actually been a remarkably rewarding experience at times. So the thing about it that I think makes it kind of a nice departure from something like your Minecrafts of the world. There's a lot of survival sandbox games out there. And this one shares quite a few elements with it as well. It's got all the, the traditional kind of tech tree building stuff. But it actually has some physics associated with it as well. So you wander into the woods as usual. You start cutting down trees. The trees actually topple over, and they actually have dynamic shadows, and there's actually day-night cycles and all that good stuff. Again, another pretty common thing, the day-night cycle. But you eventually learn to craft buildings, and there's a little kind of convoluted tutorial that gets you through all of that stuff. And you work on your blueprints, your schematics, and you can build a little, like a feudal medieval village out of it. And the goal is to work your way up through the tech tree, hopefully with some help from your friends, and work your way up towards a castle. And if you want to have a big open community, which we actually were experimenting with over the weekend, you can make your own server and invite like 50 or 80 people in. Everybody makes their own little medieval houses, and they work on like guilds together. Everybody specializes. You might have one person that's the blacksmith, one person that's the builder, another person works on the farming, and you just all kind of work in a way that tries to create a community amongst each other. And then I guess the ultimate goal is to create your castle and your weapons of war, and then go siege each other. And all of those things are actually in the game right now. Again, it's in early access. It's not really quite done yet. And there are quite a few bugs. In fact, the last time we played it, it crashed like every few minutes, and we had to stop playing it, which was very frustrating. But, I attribute that to just a bad patch. The time we played it before that, though, it was actually a lot more stable. So we had a pretty fun time with it, actually. I would recommend people check it out if you're into this kind of thing. I found it a lot more accessible than Space Engineers. And in general, I think that's largely to do with the fact that, well, you're on Earth, so you're going to understand what you're dealing with most of the time. Chopping down trees, gathering mushrooms, pretty standard human stuff, as opposed to building rockets and harvesting minerals. But in addition to that, I think it's a little less complicated in general. And it actually has a remarkable amount of freedom associated with it and what you can do. Still has a ways to go, but I actually had a really fun time, and I would recommend it even now, as long as that patch is not going to keep crashing the game, because that's actually unplayable.
Yeah. Same team / person? No, this isn't a single person dev, right? I think this is a team, but I think
that would be incredible. I would be very surprised if it was a single person. I don't actually know a ton about the studio, no.
But they are the same team that made Space Engineers as well, so there's
also early access, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. 2 early access games at once.
I know, yeah, that is. I was gonna look at Space Engineers again, because I don't know if they're done completely. I don't think they are.
Not.
Yeah.
They just last month maybe released like a trailer for their next big patch.
Oh right, yeah, because we were doing it on Squares and we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna double check it.
Cool. Yeah. So as far as the multiplayer then online, you mentioned it crashed a few times, obviously, but have you had a lot of issues playing with the other people?
In the last run we tried to do of it, it crashed a lot because of a recent patch, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Before that, though, we had a server open for a good 3 or so hours with, I'd say, about 30 people, and it was fine for the most part. I mean, there were some bugs, but like there's bugs that's early access. Little stuff, like I was wandering through mountains by accident because the clipping was weird. But that wasn't like pervasive, and I would say that was more of an outlier than the typical experience. So yeah, it actually functions fairly well. I was able to build and set up a hosted server for people to join by myself with very little information. There's also mod support, so people have already started building stuff for that too. It seems like a good platform to build upon this kind of like create castles and siege each other kind of game. And there's been a lot that have tried it. I don't think I've seen one that's done it quite this well before.
Great. Okay.
Cool.
Medieval Engineers, it is in early access, $20 on Steam right now. Ryan, will you tell me about Full Metal Furies, please?
I mean, you should probably pass it to Nick.
Yeah,
although
sure.
I appreciate the lateral, because all of my experience with the game was on the show where it crashed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
A lot.
Nick, what do you got?
Yeah, so Full Metal Furies is the follow-up for Cellar Door Games after Rogue Legacy, and it's a huge departure for what they did in the first game to this game. It's essentially I want to say like a skill shot based brawler. So if you can imagine like Castle Crashers, but instead of just whacking stuff by hitting X over and over again, all of your, 3 of your 4 attacks are on cooldowns and require accuracy and planning.
Okay.
And there's 4 different classes, each of which is actually quite unique to each other. They all kind of complement each other in different ways. And the general thing is that all the enemies, they have shields on them, and they're colored shields, and you have to be the right person at the right time to shoot the shield to break it, so everyone can then attack that individual. And that sounds like it would be simple at first, but then you get into some pretty complicated combat scenarios, as I found.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that in playing the game solo, it actually plays very differently than playing in multiplayer. And granted, Brian's totally right. It had really bad netcode issues. The developers have been working on it. Hopefully it's resolved by now already, because I've seen a few patches have gone by.
That's been the pervasive message. I think it's mostly fixed now.
Good.
Yeah.
It seems like a really fun game to play online. We just weren't able to do it at the time. But the way the solo works is you actually control 2 of the 4 classes as one person, and you swap back and forth between them. So since there's all these colored shields, you actually have to kind of play Ikaruga by switching between one hero and the other to try and take them out.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've heard, it's a very robust game. It's got a ton of content to it, like dozens of hours potentially, which I wasn't expecting that, actually. Most brawlers usually don't get quite that deep. And it is somewhat narratively driven as well. There's actually quite a story to it, as well as leveling, unlocks, items, secrets. There's actually puzzles within it. There's stones that'll give you hints about where in the world map you might find a secret. It's kind of like Mario World a little bit, where like if you go out of a certain level in the right way, you might discover a new branching path that could lead you in a different direction. So yeah, there's a lot of intricacies to it that I found kind of cool. And really just the one thing I want to do is just make sure that the multiplayer works. I could see myself spending a bunch of hours working on that.
Yeah.
But like I said, it feels like you're playing 2 totally different games. I would recommend, if anybody's into this kind of thing, check out the solo as well as play with multiplayer, because you might actually find it in a different way, sort of intellectually engaging, trying to keep up with how you're supposed to get through these sort of puzzle-like combat scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a brawler with some depth.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that. It's also got a pretty charming art style and decent music as well. Takes a bit of getting used to the controls, though. You probably need a couple of hours before you'll feel comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have a ton of gripes, though, other than just the netcode. And maybe it's a bit long in the tooth with the narrative. Some of the jokes don't land, but I think you'll run into that in a lot of games. Mm-hmm. So I didn't want to dock it too many points for that, but yeah, the narrative maybe was a little iffy at times.
So Cellar Door, they made Rogue Legacy, and am I thinking of a different team that made Reus a few years ago?
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Abbey Games.
That's right. Yeah, that was Abbey Games. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I made that connection, but anyway. Yeah, so Cellar Door made Rogue Legacy, though. So obviously, most people's question is, was Rogue Legacy an outlier, just a random gem from this indie dev? And it doesn't sound like that's the case with Fullmetal Furies, then.
Seems like a quality game to me. It's very different, obviously, but still good.
Dope. All right. Fullmetal Furies. It is out now. Not early access, full release. Available on Steam for $20. There you go. And, hold on. Mathis.
Hello.
Would you please tell me about Subnautica, please? Out of early access today.
We've talked about Subnautica a few times
on
this. But Subnautica is officially out of early access for 3 years in early access. It is by developer Unknown Worlds, the same people who did Natural Selection 1 and 2. And Subnautica is quite a departure from that. It is a single-player survival adventure game, exploration game, I kind of want to call it, because combat is really not part of it. There is combat, but it's extremely minimal. Just as the story is, you're on the spaceship that crash lands on this ocean planet, and you are the only survivor of this crash. And it is your job to get the hell off of this planet, all while, doing your typical survival stuff, eating, drinking, building these modular bases, and constantly upgrading your technology as time goes on. So you start with nothing, you eventually get like a little sea glide, and you get like a little submarine, and then you get a big submarine, and then you get like this mech suit underwater that can do all kinds of stuff. What sets this game apart from most survival games is that it actually is super polished, and it has a storyline. And the storyline is really, really well done. Mix that with a setting that is really not done, completely underwater, and with incredibly good audio design, creates this natural horror in the game. It's not like a jump scare game, but there is horror in it because you'll hear these monsters, these sea monsters, way off in the distance, and every once in a while you'll catch like through the cloudy waters, you'll catch like just a bit of it as it's like swimming around, and you can hear it way out there. And especially in like at nighttime during moonlight, it's horrifying. It's that thalassophobia type of feeling. And the more you play, the deeper into the ocean you go, because that's where the more the heavier story bits are, as well as the more rare materials are. And the deeper you go, the creepier and weirder the ocean gets, as much like real life. And it's just great. It's just an incredibly good game. And you can play it without needing to worry about food and water. There is an option to play it without the need to worry about that, and just play for the crafting and the survival, or in the story. It's just beautiful. The game is wonderfully done, and I'm so happy that the game is getting such high marks across the board, because it takes what is such a stale genre at this point and does something new with it, and does it well. The setting, the story, the sci-fi elements, everything about the game really reinvigorates it. And I want to see more companies who dive into the survival genre try and put a new spin on it. Instead of being like, you're in the wilderness, monsters come out at night, eat, drink, and build a base, and that's your job. Like, I want to see more interesting twists. And they could have stopped at just putting it underwater and being like, that's the twist. But they did all this story stuff and all this exploration stuff. They transformed it, and I appreciate that. And if you are even remotely interested in that type of game, this is a must play for you.
I'm sure you saw the clip, or maybe you didn't. There was one of the bigger streamers had one of these wonderful emergent storytelling moments where he was just like standing on the coastline talking about how he wishes more like random events would happen, and then he gets like the psychic projection. Like,
I saw that.
Oh man, that really made me want to check it out, because that's the kind of stuff I love.
When that happens, like, because up to that point where until you see that, you just think like, I'm on this alien planet, I need to survive and get off. And then that happens, and it comes out of nowhere and it scares the shit out of you, and you're like, wait a minute, what the hell? Like, that, I wasn't expecting that. Because all the while, the only thing you really are getting as far as stories is what happened to the survivors on the ship. Like, finding their life pods and finding out what happened to them. But then that hits, and that's like, there's a big old sci-fi twist involved in it, which is really great.
So most of the exposition then is just found in the game world. It's not like there's cutscenes or anything like that?
Yeah, there's no cutscenes. There's just none. The only thing it does is like every once in a while your radio will go off on your life pod, and you'll click it, and it'll tell you like SOS signal from life pod 2, and it'll put life pod 2 like on your map and ping it, and you can go check that out whenever you want. And they use that as a way of naturally kind of progressing you towards better and better
kind
tech.
Of gentle pushes.
Yeah, it's like, hey, the next bit of story is kind of that way, and usually if you follow it, that's where the next bit of resources, or the next like tier of resources, is going to end up being. And it forces you to kind of explore and head out that way.
Reminding me of the Solus project a little bit, but like with a totally different angle.
With like actual gameplay. Because I like the Solus project a lot, but it was very light on the gameplay. There's a lot more gameplay involved in this one.
I'm getting like a vibe of an underwater No Man's Sky, but the promised version, right? Like,
kind of, yeah.
I don't think there's ever a promised version.
But this
the
is
thing
it.
is, like, there's another thing that goes a really long way in this game, and something I don't think enough people are talking about, is unlike other survival games, this is not a randomly generated world. The whole world is handcrafted. Like, everything is deliberately made, deliberately placed. And each biome has specific life forms that you kind of get used to and understand, and know, like, okay, if I'm going to go here, I'm going to have to watch out for X, Y, and Z, or, hey, this kind of food is over that way. And you start putting bases in different biomes so that if you need to, like, build something over there, it's very natural. And the handcrafted world goes a really long way in making it feel like a realized world instead of just something randomly generated.
It's a pretty big world, too, isn't it?
It's huge. Yeah. It's massive. My current file right now is almost 25 hours in. I'm at the last like hour of gameplay, and there's still a couple of things I haven't seen yet. And I'm going out and like exploring.
That's great.
You have all the guns by now, though, right? Like the guns have been treating you well.
Yeah, I got the underwater machine gun, the underwater rocket launcher.
Dude, awesome.
Yeah, no, that's another great thing, is like you're very much like a scientist. So the only weapon you have is a knife. It's like
Gordon Freeman's a scientist.
They gave him a crowbar.
Hero scientist, but
about 100 guns.
The only gun you really get, there's like two guns. There's a stasis gun, which fires a bubble of stasis that can lock a creature in place, and a propulsion gun, which will push creatures
Push the
back.
bubble, right?
Yeah, yes. No, not push the bubble.
Oh, damn it. Come on.
But if you're a horror game fan, I also suggest playing this game because the game is just naturally very scary.
That's awesome.
I hadn't heard anything about the sort of horror angle on it at all, so that's very interesting to me.
Yeah, I'd be curious. I'd love for all of you to play it. I know maybe
I'm gonna play it.
Yeah, but
I'm definitely gonna try it out.
It's a phenomenal game.
Yeah, I've heard way too much good stuff about it to pass it on, or pass
to
on
see
it
it getting like 9s and 10s is just it's like a weird emotional. Because I've been with this game since day one.
Yeah,
like I've been playing it since day one, and every update has changed it drastically. And to see what the finished product is really, really nice.
Validates your belief a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. It's really great. What's cool is the lore. Not that it fucking matters, but the lore is directly connected to natural selection. If you ever played natural.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. No, it's like a prequel to natural selection, basically.
Huh.
Interesting.
Great. I really hope this does well, and I'd love to see Unknown Worlds do something new and exciting with a genre maybe next.
That's so interesting. That's like how Edith Finch had lore from Unfinished Swan in it.
Damn. Yeah.
Or it's vice versa. Like that. I love when they do that, make little nods to their other games, and like sometimes they actually could be informative in ways you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Phenomenal game. Go buy it.
That is Subnautica. It is on Steam. It is $25. It is 10% off during the launch week till January 30th. My dog is barking. All right. Let's move on to Iconoclasts. Nick, you want to grab that one as well? I'll jump in a little bit too.
Okay, so Iconoclasts is a big game in a bunch of ways. It's a game that's been in development for a very, very long time. And back when I started doing YouTube, I had heard rumblings about Iconoclasts. That was like in 2012. And it just came out. Just the other day. It's by Joachim Sandberg. I wanted to make sure I got his name right. And it has a lot of love put into this game. I can tell that for sure.
Yeah.
It's a game that I think I might have hyped myself to death over it, unfortunately. So the promise is it's sort of an action, narrative-driven. I've seen the word Metroidvania thrown around a bunch. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I think I see where they're getting it from. Platformer, essentially.
Yeah.
So you play as this girl who is a mechanic in a world where being a mechanic is bad.
You're right. Yeah.
That's like a really big hinging plot point of the whole thing. No, I don't mean to make too much light of it. It's like there's a whole religious organization, and they have a whole thing about that certain people aren't allowed to touch this energy source that's sacred to them, and mechanics have to be approved by their order to be allowed to. And I'm not really sure where we're going with the story. I played about 2 hours of it. And what I didn't know at the time is it's mostly a story-driven game. The platforming element, I would say it's like 60% story, 40% gameplay in the first couple hours. It's predominantly reading. And that's not a problem. And I don't want to say that like I should dissuade people from playing it. But think of this in the category of something like Cave Story, where it's largely about the characters more so than the mechanics.
Yeah.
It's ironic because you play as a mechanic. So the structure of it, as in the very beginning of the game is you find your wrench, you kind of explore this small little area, which is sort of a hub world, and then you go to another area, you fight a boss, lots of exposition. Then you go to another small area, which has a few branching paths and some very minor puzzles. You might get an upgrade or two, and then more exposition, more bosses. And during the course of this, whenever you take these forking paths, you're going to find a few synthesis items, which you can then craft at these craft benches to give you an upgrade or two, which then are equipped like charms, like in Hollow Knight. Although they break if you take damage, right? It's like the one on the farthest right breaks first, then it works its way over or something. So that's a kind of a cool system. I like that. It did seem, though, like it was very easy to find the synthesis items, and I wasn't really struggling to get all of the crafting stuff that I needed. Yeah. So I had no problems making decisions. It was just like, oh, we'll just take everything then. And then they run out of options, so you're spoiled for choice. The gameplay itself, when you are playing the character running around, feels great. It feels very tight. The platform mechanics and the controls are solid. The graphics and animations are very lovingly done, very carefully crafted, beautifully done, actually, I would say. It's vibrant, it's colorful, great use of color. The music complements it well. And I think this is where I'm the most kind of put off, is that I love the running, jumping part of the game. I just don't love the story so far.
Yeah.
And I'm told that it gets better as you get deeper into it, but I don't know if I care enough to keep going to get deeper into it. I might just push through it for a little while just to see. But they're just not grabbing me. There's like a lot of characters that don't directly relate to the main character for a while, and they're building up some like serious background lore, and none of them are grabbing my attention except for like a couple. The Lady Black, I thought she was kind of interesting. Royal and your sort of accomplice that you end up meeting is kind of cool. Also, the game reminds me a lot of Owlboy, and that's sort of another. It's a mixed compliment because like that game was absolutely stunning, but I also couldn't really handle how much exposition there was, and I didn't finish it as a result of that. Also, that game had a kind of a partner mechanic, which I don't know if maybe this one does as well, but I didn't get far enough to see. So yeah, I want to love it, but like I just don't know if I can get past the exposition. That's all. What do you think?
Yeah, I really echo a lot of your sentiment there, man. And you can tell it's a labor of love in so many ways. Just 7 years of work, obviously, he's put a lot of time and attention into detail. And like you said, like it's almost one of those every frame of painting situations, but with this really cool pixel art style. And the animation in particular is really well done too. I want to point that out. Like the character animation is really good, really smooth, and it controls well too. So that's for the fun parts of it, like the platforming in the actual game. It's enjoyable. Like it is a fun game to play. It's satisfying to move around and utilize all the different mechanics. But I'm definitely with you in that the story just really doesn't grab me at all. And it's a big part of it, too. It's kind of critical that you get into it because it'll beat you over the head with it for a while. Like there's so many characters, so much dialogue, so much narrative that it's really tough, especially with a game like this. I think I've mentioned this before, but really just these sorts of art styles I find inherently standoffish as far as trying to, like embrace a narrative or get involved with characters, really to care about them at all when they look like this. You know what I mean? Like, it's difficult for me to identify with a pixel art character, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
It's not a typical genre to run into this much exposition, so I guess you kind of have to temper that a little bit.
Yeah.
But then if you look back at something like Chrono Trigger, I mean, the presentation is...
Sure, yeah.
Plenty of pixel art there, and they pull it off somehow. So I think the other thing that bugs me too, it's not just that there's so much writing, it's that some of the writing is a little bit difficult to read. Like the sentence structure is not always the easiest to parse. There's some writing in there that like you kind of have to go over it a couple times before you feel like you got what they were actually saying. Or there's a lot of cases where they're referring to things you're intentionally not supposed to understand, which is great for lore fiends, but like if you don't understand what the greater story is, you're spending a lot of time building up for something that you may not care to get to the payoff to.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really interesting situation, this game, man, because if it were just like, if we were looking at like a Flint Hook kind of thing where it was almost entirely gameplay and Iconoclasts was just this cool 2D platformer with a little bit of story sprinkled on, I think I'd really like it. But because it's so narrative heavy and like it's got a lot of dialogue that you got to get through, if you don't want to sit through that, it's tough to really want to recommend this because that's kind of a big part of the game.
And as soon as they set you free to at the beginning, you get through a whole bunch of exposition. And they're like, okay, here's a town. Now go through and talk to every single person in the town. And you kind of will only arbitrarily trigger the next sequence if you find the right person to talk to.
Yeah, yeah.
And then if you avoid them the first time somehow, so I don't know how I did that.
I was telling you, like, I kind of wish it would stop trying to be Cave Story and just start trying to be a fun platformer. But, I mean, I'm not making the game. That's obviously not what he had in mind here. But it
has some of the charm of Cave Story, though. Like, it feels very responsive, and it has this, like, bright feeling to it. The game feel of it feels really solid. I don't really know the best words to use, but it just feels great to play.
Yeah, it does.
I just want more of the game.
I agree. No, it's such an interesting game for that reason because it's really good. There's just not a lot of it to enjoy, unfortunately, as far as we can tell, at least anyway.
Yeah. It might be fairly long. I've heard someone say it might be like 10 hours. So,
well, let me go. I think actually I was looking down here. Top reviews seem to have 16 to 20 hours, so that's that's pretty good.
It might be completionist type thing. Maybe there's a quick story and then, well, relatively quick story in that you can finish it, but then there's plenty more to find afterward.
Yeah. That's the gist of it, and it's. I'll say as well, I didn't really like the soundtrack, which doesn't happen a lot for me. I didn't really like the music all that much. I think it kind of took me out of it, but
it seemed all right to me.
Yeah,
I think it's more of a I respect this game, but personally, I don't know if I like it.
Yeah.
It's like where I'm going to land on this. Like, it may be an 8 or a 9 if you love the story. I just don't know that I love the story, so it's like a 6.5 for me, maybe.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I don't know if I necessarily want to go so far as to
I
score
don't know why I need to put numbers on it, but you know.
We don't need to start doing that on the show. There's no need for that. We're not trying to get Metacritic to count us on the scale there. All right, so there you go. Yeah, I don't know if I'd really recommend it either, to be honest. It's an interesting one for sure. It's there you go. It's Iconoclasts, $20, available on Steam right now. Ryan, please tell me all about Monster Hunter World.
Monster Hunter World is the newest game in the Monster Hunter series that brings a lot of huge quality of life changes if you've played Monster Hunter in the past. Like, for example, it actually looks good. Like, it looks like a game that's in the current generation, which is super nice. And there's no loading in between the 12 or 13 zones on each map, which is lovely. And yeah, I've probably played like 9 or 10 hours of it so far. And the game it's really, really, really good, especially mechanically. Like, it's so much more fluid than Monster Hunter used to be in the past. There's lots of positive stuff going on. It's still, and I always forget about this, and I'm very interested to know how people who like don't have, like, if they've never played Monster Hunter before, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know, how do you get your head around this? Because even though Cade and I have played it a bunch, we still have problems like figuring out the interface to get into a game with one another. Mm-hmm. Where do I go to craft? How do I follow this equipment tree like all the way down? And what's the difference between upgrading equipment and forging equipment? When should I do one over the other? And then learning you get the idea.
Yeah,
anyway. It's a complicated game. I don't think it's impossible to wrap your head around, but I'm eager to know, because this is a game that's like such a it's so much more popular, it seems, than the last games in the franchise. So I'm assuming like a lot of new players are getting involved with it. I want to know how they're dealing with it. Because for anybody who already likes Monster Hunter, it's just better. Like, it's everything about it is essentially better than it was in the last generation. But it's not necessarily much more accessible, I think, than it was before.
Mm. That's obviously what they were going for, right? This is the Monster Hunter that was supposed to bring new people into the Monster Hunter world, right? And I played a little bit of the 3DS one, which was Generations, right? Or was that?
Yes.
I mean, there's Generations and Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. We're both on 3DS.
Oh, okay.
The latest one was
the latest one? Okay, yeah.
Correct, yeah. Okay. Well, the latest one was Monster Hunter Cross,
okay.
But that was not localized in North America, actually. So
well, there you go, Mr. Monster Hunter over here.
Well, technically, the latest one is Monster Hunter World.
God damn it. See, I played a little bit of the 3DS one, and like you said, like, that was definitely the thing that stood out to me the most, is like, holy shit, there's so many menus and UI stuff that I don't get, and it's very difficult to understand. But I think that's like really the only big issue, right? Otherwise, it's fairly straightforward, and it's like, what I was excited about actually getting into this is I've been playing a little bit more of Final Fantasy 15 since I got the 4K TV, and I've been enjoying that. And there's an element of that game which is basically Monster Hunter, where you take these hunting jobs and you go out and you slay these giant monsters and come back and get the rewards for it. And I was like, yeah, I like that part of Final Fantasy 15. So this seems like it's that turned into a giant game, kind of the way like Black Flag was the naval combat part of the Assassin's Creed game that I love so much, and then they took that and they made an entire game out of it. So that seems like kind of what we're getting into here. And thus far, it's exactly that, and I love it. Like, oh man, this is so much fucking fun. I am really glad I got this, because I am pretty sure I'm going to really like it, and it's going to provide me basically that exact experience. But yeah,
I'm still in like the start of the game. I still think is like too frictiony. In that anybody who's played Monster Hunter in the past knows what you want to do is get like X progress into the game, and then you just want to hunt monsters that are below X progress and like farm up an armor set and then like gradually move up. And I'm like, there's so much story stuff, which for normies is awesome. I have to imagine that there's some really capital E epic sort of cutscenes and stuff like that are cool. And they've also cut out a lot of stuff that was essentially boring as hell. Like, hey, if you want to do this quest, you've got to either do this quest where you catch 10 butterflies or do this quest where you bring back 6 blue mushrooms. They cut all that out because people don't want to do that. Nobody's ever wanted to do that, I think. But they're like, now is our chance to revolutionize it. But there is still like a lot of like, I don't want to do this quest. I just want to hunt monsters, which you can do, but it takes a while to get there.
Which is so funny.
Welcome to Monster Hunter.
The thing is, they have to tutorialize it because there's like 100,000 systems going on in the game.
Yeah.
The cutscenes are unskippable though, except for like the stuff that you've already seen before, like eating a meal or something like that. You can skip, like it is like I've been enjoying the game, but I have been like, please just not every quest I want to be like, hey, go out on an expedition, and then you go pick something up, and it's like, whoa, and it's a monster there, and you're like, I get it, and then you kill the monster, and you go back, and then they're like, do it again. People are saying I didn't find the tutorial that bad. You're still in the tutorial. Unless you play 12 hours, you're in the tutorial, I think. I don't think the tutorial has ended for me yet. I'm still getting stuff that was like in the beta for even the starting quest. So I think I'm still kind of like in the tutorial. But I have at least gotten some of the arena stuff unlocked, and being able to just like some of the quality of life changes are so good. To be able to go out on a hunt, and then when you kill the monster that you went out on the hunt for, you don't have to go back to the base and take another quest. You can just go back to your starting camp and post another quest without having to go through like a minute of loading times.
Yeah.
And then just be like, okay, now I'm back out. Like it makes the loop so much easier. I really think like the complaints that I have are not that I'm an expert in Monster Hunter, because I'm like still basically a beginner despite having like 150 hours in the series. But I have like complaints that only matter if you've already played it in the past and you just want to get to the hunting. But everything about the hunting is better.
Have you played Monster Hunter before? Like rank, is this your first time? An expert, a veteran? And then they give you the option to skip the tutorial garbage.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of games do that now. I don't know why they don't do that, especially for Monster Hunter, which has been around for like over a decade.
Yeah, but it's like, I don't know. I have sympathy because I don't know how you integrate that with the fact that there's also like a story that they want people to play. And I don't know, the game's going to sell like 10 million units. So I don't think they can, if people are like, they've never played Monster Hunter before, I don't think they can just be like, you just hunt a bunch of monsters. You know, they got to be, a 40-hour, robust RPG action campaign, so I don't know. I sympathize with that. And eventually you're going to crack through that shell and you're going to get to the meat of just being able to hunt for like 12 hours a day, I'm sure. But it does take a little while to get there. But I don't know. Like every new player in Monster Hunter needs like a trip sitter.
Yeah.
They need somebody to be like, just go, what? Like, explain, like, oh, yeah, so if you want that armor set, you're going to have to kill that guy 4 times, and you need to get, like, the first couple of upgrades to unlock the tree that allows you to get here, and,
It's still, like, it's got that Monster Hunter obtuseness to it that is just sort of unavoidable, I guess. Like, they just got so many systems that they got to do it.
It's kind of an inelegant game, which I think is fine, as long as you got somebody to guide you. But I don't think the game does a fantastic job of making it work perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that elegance is actually inbuilt like a tradition at this point. Like it's part of the flavor that they like about it. So there's no way out of that, I guess.
Yeah. I'm sure the fans like don't want it touched either.
That's the thing. You can't criticize it without getting at least a chorus of people that are like, it's not that hard. All you have to do, and then you go, well, how much time do you have in it? Oh, I had 1,000 hours across 15 games, and also, I'm part of like 15 communities online, one for each game. Like
moderate the forum.
So I think it's not. I'm not insulting the game to say that like it does take a while to wrap your head around even the fundamentals. You can also like. You can still kill monsters and be good at the game without knowing absolutely everything about it. But there's like, there's a lot, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's like,
each weapon is like intricate as all hell.
Each weapon corresponds to a monster, more or less. And it has, if you get the full armor set with the weapon, you get a statistical bonus. They've all got elemental resistances and other attributes they can give you. Beyond that, they can all be upgraded with armor spheres, which you pick up from like different by killing monsters or by looting them in game. And then beyond that, hey, let's go out on a hunt. Well, there's like 12 different kinds of things that I can put in my slingshot to shoot at people, and there's 100 berries, and I don't know what those do. I just picked up a bunch of bullets. I don't even have a gun to shoot them with. My inventory's full of these bullets. And what do you mean, like the sharpness on my weapon? What's better, white, green, or yellow? I don't know what the best sharpness is on this.
Use a whetstone. Right?
Well, I mean, you do have to use a whetstone.
But
then every weapon has like, some weapons have sharpness that goes into the white, some have sharpness that goes into the green. It takes a long time to figure it out, and it's not a simple game. I'm not insulting it by saying that.
I would liken that to the crafting system in Dark Souls 1, which was just ridiculously obtuse. Also, I just compared Monster Hunter to Dark Souls.
No!
I've done
But even that is like, I don't know. Sort of, I do see it, especially once you hit like a certain point in Dark Souls.
Why do you know that you need to get a different
Twinkling Titanite,
exactly.
or like how does a boss, or what do you use to upgrade a boss soul of each type? I understand that, or a boss weapon, I should say, but like, I don't know. I think Monster Hunter is like even more complicated in its.
They added a database in it. This one though, right? Like that's the thing. You can look up the monsters and what parts of them are vulnerable after you've seen them.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't used to have that, so that's a big step in the right direction.
Yeah, they took one of the things that's really nice about it is they took a lot of stuff that was like online and outsourced to the community, and then they just put it in the game. So you don't necessarily have to use as many outside resources. Not that I ever did in the first place. Most of the time, I was just like, I can kill this monster, so I do it until I get his armor set, and then I move up one level or something.
Right.
Yeah, it's really good. I would recommend. It would be awesome if you played it with somebody that knew what they were doing. Otherwise, I think the hype for this game, that's the only reason I say it, is because the hype for the game is at like a 12 out of 10. So I think a lot of people are going to bounce off of it. I think there's going to be people that are like, it's going to be like, kind of like Dark Souls, and I like Dark Souls, and then they're going to be like, you want me to kill that thing 7 times to move on? Like that's, it's a different kind of game. Yeah. That's all I think people should be aware of.
There's like there's a Diablo-esque grind to it. Right?
Yeah, it's a game about infinite boss fights.
Yeah,
essentially,
that is all you're doing.
And the bosses are good enough, like they're interesting enough that you can fight them many times without being like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Indulge me this question, because I'm sure you don't care as much as I do, but you have the Pro, right? The PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
So it's got those options of like focus on the frame rate, focus on the graphics.
Yeah.
Did you try those at all? Did you see if there's
no? Because I don't care.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
yeah,
I just picked the one so it's like keep your resolution as high as possible, keep your frame rate as high as possible, or I forget the third one. I just went with like keep my frame rate as high as possible.
Yeah, that's what I did too. And
I don't want to throw up. Like,
right.
I don't necessarily care about running like a 3DS Max benchmark of like which one of these works the best. I'd rather it just runs as smoothly as it can, and if it wants to run it in 320 by 240 windowed, like that's fine, because I'm used to playing the 3DS games. So like
that actually might be the lower screen's resolution.
I don't know. It might be. Yeah, it's not good. That's for damn sure.
It looks good.
Yeah,
there are some parts.
World looks amazing.
It does, like, there are going to be people who play games on PC that come over to this and go, it doesn't look that good, but it looks so good compared to Monster Hunter in the past. You will never be able to replicate that. Like the first time you load into World after playing a 3DS Monster Hunter and going like, holy shit, it looks good.
Yeah,
it looks like a good game. And it'll look better on PC, but it looks good on PS4.
It's a shame that the PC version is in October, I think.
Fall, they said.
Yeah, fall.
Yeah.
Little ways.
It's rendered all of the prior Monster Hunter games obsolete because of the graphics, right? Like nobody would go backward now.
How could you?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't own a PS4, then
Hopefully, it has a lot of content. I mean, I don't really know.
Well, they've already announced they're going to be doing like what they've done with every Monster Hunter, a bunch of free updates with all new monsters and new challenges and all that.
It almost has like definitionally like infinite content.
Oh yeah,
right, but like more
bosses, it's so easy to add on to it, right?
And you hunt the same things over and over. Yeah. Once you get to the point where you're like, I have the best stuff for my character class and play style, then you start working on like, I'm going to kill this boss faster. Yeah. I'm going to get to the point where I'm going to be like we're going to have the best group for killing this monster or something like that.
I can't believe I couldn't get you to play Lost Planet 2 with me. It's exactly the same game, just with cool mechs.
They didn't call it Monster Hunter.
What's Lost Planet's 2's Metacritic score versus Monster Hunter World?
I don't care. It's fun. It's like, imagine a giant salamander and everybody has machine guns, and you go to town on it. Like, that's so fun, but now the online's dead, so, you know.
Wow.
I had a great time. I must have played that for 100 hours on Xbox 360 with random pickup groups.
Damn.
I met so many people. You'd get boxes and you get unlocks. There was a freaking loot lottery system. It was so dumb. I love that game. That's why I held out hope that maybe I could possibly get into this, because Lost Planet 2 was like absolutely something I was obsessed with.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. We are on crunch time now, but Nick, I do want to. Well, do you want to save it for next week, maybe?
Well, honestly, I can just say it's great.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. We'll do it then. Let's do it right now.
It's What am I saying?
We're gonna
again?
Hold on. Everybody just got an audio hiccup there too, so no one has any idea what the fuck just happened. But Dragon Ball FighterZ is the game we're going to be talking about right now for a few minutes. Yeah, Fighters.
Right, so I just basically want to say that it is a game by the people who made the newer Guilty Gear and BlazBlue, Arc System Works. They are really good at making fighting games, and they use the same engine that they used with Guilty Gear, which means you have these absolutely beautiful cel-shaded cartoon graphics that look like they're 2D when they want to look like they're 2D, and then they're 3D all of a sudden, and you don't even see it coming every single time. It's amazing. The game feels so good to play. I played 3 hours of it today. I think this could be amazing. Like, just I could get really into this.
Wow.
The lobbies suck, though. They've got to sort out the lobbies.
Are you playing on console or PC?
I just bought the PC version. The PC port's good.
Okay,
no
cool.
bombs at all.
That's definitely the prevailing message is the PC port is fantastic, so that's good news.
Sweet.
Every single lobby room was filled in every single space across the entire world.
That's awesome.
There was North or West and East Canada, West and East Mexico, West and East United States. All of those rooms all had about 20 each. They were all full.
Wow.
Sometimes you could get one slot if you were fast enough, but it would just be full.
Damn,
Can you do private games with friends, I'm assuming?
That's the thing I don't know yet. I haven't gotten to that point. I was going to pester Rob about it, but I couldn't get a hold of him today. I really think it's going to be great, though, when they either add more servers or less people play it, which will probably only take a couple days.
Right, launch day, yeah, I'm sure.
They'll sort it out. It has surprisingly diverse characters for it being the DBZ characters we already all know.
Mm-hmm.
Just playing, like, Yamcha, I didn't expect to actually be fun.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not to diss Yamcha, but, like, he's kind of lame. But actually, he's very fun. They have a, like, super convoluted story about why all the Z characters can fight each other equally. But, like, sure, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Right.
The story mode's actually pretty fun. The way they've laid it out, it's got like this turn system, and you go to various little islands with things happening on them, and then you fight individual people. Sometimes you unlock them for a party, and there's like a little, like almost a roguelite system thing happening where each run you may do better or worse depending on where you go and who you fight, who you add to your party, what items you unlock to augment your characters. There's whole game systems I don't even understand yet. Like there's Dragon Balls you get, but I don't know what they do. Or where you get them or when.
Is it just
or
a
what
collectible or?
No, they seem to actually matter in the gameplay, because I've seen that when you match up, it'll show what Dragon Ball you have, and I don't have any yet, so I'm going to learn about that.
Cool.
But my quick thing of it today, it plays like a simpler BlazBlue with characters you already know and will have a great time with. There's complexity for those who want it, and there's accessibility for those who don't want complexity.
Nope.
It's got everything you could ask for.
Is the tutorial good for someone who's not a big fighting game player?
Well, they tutorialize it in a bunch of different ways. You can do practice mode, you can do a combo challenge, you can do arcade mode, or you can do story mode where they actually step you through a bunch of helpful tips as you play the game. I didn't try the practice mode, but if it's like the BlazBlue one is, it's probably quite helpful. It gives you a million options. I would say just do the story mode one, because it just gives you like 4 or 5 things to do in each match. And then if you do them, you get extra XP anyway.
Cool.
So
I'm definitely going to be picking it up. I'm excited to play.
It's super good.
Dragon Ball FighterZ. Out now. $60.
Those Canadians out there.
Yep. Trying to keep Ryan engaged. Hey! Show's all done. Thanks for watching, everybody. Another fun week here at Roundtable Live. Appreciate your support. Twitch.tv/Roundtable Podcast every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific for your video game and gaming industry conversation needs. Oh, we'll get you taken care of. You believe us. Thank you very much for tuning in yet again. The VOD will be up on youtube.com/BaerTaffy tomorrow. And we want to thank those of you who are supporting over on patreon.com/roundtable as well. Thank you very much. You can, of course, pledge $5 over there to get the early access to the podcast as well, just the day of. I send it out about an hour after the show goes up over there. I want to thank those of you who have supported at that $20 level as well. That includes Julian Abelsgard, Jonathan Graham, Scrotty119, Ricky Griss, Smurfette, Cowboy Chemist, Eric Schooley, Stephen Aoki, James Peed, Peter Sinnison, Ellis Spice, John Kalchik, O. Thomas Games BR, Jakar Sampson with the dance number, Kolnar, Sahoed, Penn Gillette, Talks to All, Chaos, Never Gonna Give, Never Gonna Give. I fucked it. Never gonna give you up, Theorist. Colby Klein, Greenlight, Oren Saltzman, Brizzlebrit, Positron, Miscara, Mediocrities, Justin Smurfette, and Logan Ray. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you very much for the Twitch subs as well, guys. Over here we get Kilomex, EHTVGC, Masked Dalb. Oh God, is too many words. Masked Albatross, Bermensky, Adam Levy, this guy Caleb, F Boy Wonder, Willie Fisterbottom, Hydra FX, Lost Prussian, Tortoise, Courteous Canadian. Thank you for the bits as well. Thank you guys so much for the support, and thank you for watching Roundtable Live. We'll be back next week discussing our favorite games of January and getting more into the thick of 2018. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Later,
everybody.
Bye.